Hi, and welcome to today's Daily Chronicle. Today is Friday, December 13th, 2024. The Geminids meteor shower peaks this week. Here's what to expect. A meteor burns up in the sky of Al Abrak Desert, north of Kuwait City, during the annual Geminid meteor shower early on December 15th, 2023. If you're stargazing this week, you have a chance to see brilliant streaks across the sky as the Geminid meteor shower peaks. The Geminids are bright and have a yellow hue, are considered one of the best and most reliable annual meteor showers, when at least 120 meteors are usually seen per hour during its peak, NASA says. The Geminid meteor shower peaks in the middle of December, with the most activity this year expected late Friday and into early Saturday, according to NASA. Unlike other meteors, which originate from comets, the Geminids are thought to come from an asteroid, 3200 Python, which is nearly 3 miles across and orbits the Sun every 1.4 years. It was discovered on October 11th of 1983, and is named after Python, the child son of god Helios in Greek mythology, who drove his father's chariot close to the Sun. In the night sky, the meteors appear to emanate from the constellation Gemini, where the Geminids get their name. While the Geminids are one of the most anticipated astronomical events, this year astronomers are warning not to get your hopes up too high for cosmic show of shooting stars. Here's why, and how you can best maximize your chances. The Geminids are competing with the full moon. The cold moon, the last full moon of the year, will rise on Saturday, and its brightness will outshine some of the shooting stars that are normally visible with Geminids. The moon's brightness is predicted to cut visibility by 50% to 75%. Bill Cook, lead of NASA's Meteoroid Environment Office at the Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama, tells NPR, if you're in the U.S., you can expect to see about 15 Geminids per hour, compared to the usual 120. And the rate of the Geminids will drop to practically zero by Monday night, Cook says. If you end up giving it a shot, here are some viewing tips. The Geminids are best viewed during the night and pre-dawn hours, and are visible around the world. Beginning Thursday, you may see more meteors in the night sky. While there is a chance that the light of the full moon will wash out dimmer meteors, you will still be able to see some. Dakota Tyler, a doctoral candidate in astronomy and astrophysics at UCLA, who studies exoplanets, tells NPR. Getting away from the city light pollution and allowing your eyes to adjust to the darker conditions for 15 to 20 minutes will help increase your sensitivity, Tyler says, adding that you don't need a telescope to see them. A telescope would actually narrow your field to view too much and probably cause you to miss out on a bunch of bright meteors which, while coming from a predictable direction, will be scattered in their arrival. He also says to be patient. Get a nice little blanket, maybe a speaker and some hot cocoa, and enjoy checking out some billions of years old space rocks burning up in our nice cozy atmosphere, Tyler says. If you have a clear sky, you will also be able to see bright meteors by facing a direction with your moon at your back, according to the American Meteor Society. Next year will be better. If you don't see as many Geminids as you'd hope, or any at all, you'll have a better chance to see them in December 2025, according to NASA. The full moon that month will occur on December 4th, 2025, earlier than when the Geminids are expected to peak mid-December, and when the moon will be waning and not as bright. As for this year, there's one more meteor shower, the Ursids, which will peak between December 21st, the day of the winter solstice, and the early morning hours of December 22nd. But the light from the moon, which will be waning, will also spoil this meteor shower, which normally gives stargazers a chance to see at least 5 to 10 meteors per hour. This also is a good time to see some planets in our solar system, including Mars, which is getting closer to Earth each night and will become a little bit brighter each night with its reddish-yellow glow, Tyler says. And with a telescope or binoculars, Tyler says you might even be able to see Saturn's rings. Trump says Kari Lake will lead Voice of America. He attacked it during his first term. President-elect Donald Trump says Kari Lake, a local television news anchor turned MAGA politician, will lead the federally funded broadcaster Voice of America. If successful, the move will put loyalists at the helms of a news outlet that Trump sought to bring heel under his appointee during the final year of his first term. Trump officials sought to strip the network and its parent agency of their independence during his first term, including actions later found to be illegal and in one case unconstitutional. But Trump doesn't have the authority to unilaterally install Lake. The hire is dependent on a bipartisan board beneath the chief executive of its parent agency. Voice of America, which is funded by Congress, operates in nearly 50 languages and reaches an estimated 354 million people weekly across the globe. It is part of the U.S. agency that oversees all non-military U.S. international broadcasting. Trump said Wednesday on Truth Social that Lake will be appointed by and work closely with the incoming head of that agency, who I will announce soon. A free press is central to VOA's mission. It aims to bring unfettered reported to places that do not have it, and show political debate and dissent in the U.S., even when that reflects critically on the administration in power. Trump's White House took the unprecedented step in spring 2020 of openly attacked VOA in public statements over its perceived failures to explicitly blame the Chinese government for the pandemic. On Wednesday, Trump wrote that Lake and his as yet unnamed agency leader will ensure that the American values of freedom and liberty are broadcasted around the world fairly and accurately, unlike the lies spread by the fake news media. Lake, who ran unsuccessfully for an Arizona U.S. Senate seat this year and for governor, in 2022 has made a political name for herself, in part by denying election losses, both her and Trump's in 2020, and railing against the mainstream media by which she was once a part of. She left her job at the Phoenix Fox affiliate in 2021. After over 2 decades and a series of controversies, including sharing COVID-19 misinformation during the pandemic, in her speech at the Republican National Convention this summer, Lake accused fake news of spending the last 8 years lying about President Donald Trump and his amazing patriotic supporters, and said they had worn out your welcome. On Wednesday, Lake said that she looks forward to starting at VOA, which she described as a vital international media outlet dedicated to advancing the interests of the United States by engaging directly with people across the globe and promoting democracy and truth. Under my leadership, the VOA will excel in its mission, chronicling America's achievements worldwide, Lake tweeted. That's not exactly the organization's stated mission. However, on its website, it says it is committed to providing comprehensive coverage of the news and telling audiences of the truth. What is Voice of America? VOA was founded in 1942 to encounter Nazi propaganda in Germany. We bring you voices from America, said announcer William Harlan Hale in the first German language program. Today and daily from now on, we shall speak to you about America and the war. The news may be good for us. The news may be bad, but we shall tell you the truth. By the end of World War I, it was broadcasting 3,200 programs in 40 languages every week, presenting America and modeling a free press to the world. VOA was able to continue and even expand its operations during the Cold War, and when the United States Information Agency was established in 1953, VOA became its largest element. Today, it's over 2,000 employees produce radio, digital, and television content, distributed by a network of satellite cable, FM, and MW, and some 3,500 affiliate stations. VOA calls itself the largest U.S. international broadcaster. Others include Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, Radio Free Asia, and Radio Marti. Is VOA editorially independent? From its beginning, government officials debated the balance of VOA should strike between reporting the news and furthering U.S. foreign policy. Over the years, the broadcaster has taken several steps to safeguard its editorial independence and practice and in policy. In the late 1950s, the VOA employees drafted a formal statement of principles to protect the editorial integrity of their broadcasts, which became the official VOA charter in 1960. President Gerald Ford signed it into law in 1976. There are 3 main guidelines VOA news will be accurate, objective, and comprehensive. Represent America, not a single segment of American society, and cover not only U.S. policies, but responsible discussions and opinion about them. Taking a step further, the 1994 U.S. International Broadcasting Act enshrined in U.S. Code a firewall that prohibits any U.S. government officials from interfering the object, the independent reporting of the news. The firewall ensures that VOA can make the final decisions on what stories to cover and how they are covered, broadcaster says. The firewall came under threat during the first Trump administration, as NPR has reported. What happened to VOA during Trump's first term? Despite the VOA being owned by the federal government, the White House singled it out for attack during the first Trump administration, particularly during the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic in spring 2020. The White House accused the broadcaster of amplifying Chinese government propaganda and the country's efforts to contain the virus, which it denied. It was in that context that the Republican-led Senate finally confirmed conservative filmmaker Michael Pack to lead the U.S. Agency for Global Media, 2 years after Trump first nominated him. Pack's arrival rattled VOA even before he got there. 2 top officials resigned as soon as he was confirmed, further fueling fears of political interference. Pack quickly stripped most of the agency's senior leadership of their authority and fired the chiefs of the government-sponsored broadcast networks for foreign audiences, including Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, and Radio Free Asia. My job really is to drain the swamp, to root out corruption, and to deal with these issues of bias, not to tell journalists what to report, Pack told the pro-Trump website The Federalist at the time. Throughout his 7-month tenure at VOA's parent agency, Pack faced multiple accusations of meddling in its process for making personal moves like reassigning VOA leaders and refusing to extend foreign employees work visas, to editorial decisions like removing several controversial stories from its website after publication. Under Pack's leadership, the agency also investigated one of its own VOA White House reporters for perceived anti-Trump bias and rescind the firewall meant to ensure editorial independence from partisan interference. A formal federal investigation also said Pack engaged in waste or gross waste and government resources in paying a private firm $1.6 million to investigate agency executives he considered insufficiently loyal. They were ultimately exonerated. Such work is ordinarily done by government attorneys. The Biden administration swiftly removed several Trump loyalists from the U.S. Agency for Global Media and VOA itself after taking office in 2021. A federal inquiry released in 2023 found that PAC repeatedly engaged in abuses of power and gross mismanagement, including but not limited to violating journalists' independence. A federal judge found that PAC had violated constitutional free speech protections of the network's journalists. Is Lake's leadership a sure thing? The chaos of the PAC era led to congressional reform, most notably the creation of the International Broadcasting Advisory Board. The IBAB is an independent federal entity made up of 7 people. 6 experts in mass communication and international affairs, appointed by the President and confirmed by the U.S. Senate, and a seat for the Secretary of State. No more than 3 of the President's appointees can be from the same political party. The Senate confirmed its 6 new members last December. The board's stated mission is to ensure the editorial independence and enhance the impact of the work carried out by the U.S. Agency for Global Media. It also plays a role in the appointment and removal of heads of the agency's entities. The heads of VOA and others may only be appointed or removed if such action has been approved by the board according to its bylaws. Notably, VOA welcomed a new director, former Freedom House president and longtime Washington Post reporter and editor Michael Ambrowitz in June. As I have said many times, I welcome a smooth transition of power for both USAGM and VOA, Ambrowitz wrote Thursday in an email to staff. I intend to cooperate with the new administration and follow the process put in place by Congress for the appointment of the director of VOA. It's not clear when or whether the board would meet to decide to replace Ambrowitz. Trump has not yet said who he intends to appoint to lead the parent U.S. Agency for Global Media, a position that requires Senate confirmation. The board has not yet responded to NPR's request for comment.